Okay, we're on the west side of the house. The house faces south. There's no gate over here. We're going around counterclockwise. We've got a slab foundation, a post-tension slab foundation. I can see some of the tension cable ends coming out. Very strong foundation. Got, and this is the, excuse me for my chewing. South is the west side. We got some erosion coming along over here. Then we got brick. Brick is an excellent building material. This home can burn down and you can reuse the brick. And it's a great insulator. But architecture is regional. And we like brick because it's low maintenance. If you don't paint it, you don't have to hardly ever do anything to it unless you repoint it every once in a while. Very good wall system, exterior wall system. Now, if you paint it, you're going to have to paint it all the time. But a characteristic of brick is that it's porous. Water runs right through it. And that's why we have these weep holes around here. Okay? Now, most of the time, you won't see anything come out of the weep holes unless there's an event. I've seen a couple of events. I hope you don't, but that's what they're there for. But most of the time, it's just water vapor that escapes from them, because you don't want to hold water vapor next to your house. So those weep holes are important. Okay? Now, around the foundation perimeter, we've got a parge coat. It's like a cake frosting. It's an aesthetic decorative thing. Just because your parge coat, just because the cake frosting is cracked, doesn't mean your foundation is cracked. And just because it's not cracked doesn't mean your foundation isn't cracked. It's just a cake. And if we were doing a wind destroying insect report, I don't know if we are yet or not, but if should that come about, I'm going to call this a parge coat conducive conditions, because the parge coat moves separately from the concrete. They're different materials. They react differently, just like the concrete acts differently than the brickwork. That comes out at the corners. But what happens is we create voids in our parge coat along here that termites, subterranean termites, can use to bridge the gap to come into your structure unobserved. They like that kind of stuff. I would be required, or will be required, depending on conversations a little later today, but to note it as being conducive to wood destroying insects. Is it the most conducive area where the termites ever come in? Probably not. But it's happened. It's been happening. That's why they have rules. Now, anytime you have this much brickwork in this part of the country, we're going to have control joints, just like we have them out in the street. Okay. Some people call them expansion joints. Call them what you will. But this sealant, what does it do? It gets dry, it shrinks, it pulls away. Okay, so that's what's happened here. Yes, we do want weep holes down here, but we don't want a weep hole running all the way up here. We don't want water coming in through all this. Those are exits, not entrances. No, we want these walls resealed. And we're missing most of our window screens, by the way. We're rolling on around. Where do termites live? In the ground. Oh. What do they eat? Dead wood. Oh. What's wood mulch? Dead wood on the ground next to your house, where you have the parge coat, where the termites can't see you coming into your house. This is called a clue. This is called a clue. If you call me up and you say, "Hey man, I got some termites in the front room," I'm gonna go like, right where all the cracking parge coat was, and the wood mulch is right there next to the house. And you're like, yeah, right there. I'm going, I know. I get it. Coming along here, we got a little bit of a gap in our vertical casement right up in there. And then we got a little bit of broken, coping board there. Casement, horizontal casement trim board. Going along, missing some more screens. Now when we come over here, this brickwork has been disrupted with a metal lintel. Okay, not the brickwork. The brickwork was disrupted by the window. But then we got a metal lintel up here to hold the brickwork up. And so the drainage plane behind here has been disrupted. And so we've continued up here with our weep holes. We need a little bit of paint on our lintel right there, because when metal rusts, it gets weaker, but it expands. When metal rusts and expands, it cracks brickwork. We got a little bit of a movement right in there from our lintel. That's a pretty typical place to find it. Our exterior light fixture should be sealed on 3 sides to keep water from going in there. This door does not require Z-bar flashing, no matter what anybody tells you. It's less than 24 inches from the roof, so it's not required there. Our electric receptacle outlets, okay, they should have, by the way, we just do this, kind of readjust. Yeah, I know you're recentered. Okay, we should have in-use covers, so when you plug something in here, you know, like Christmas lights, for example, maybe you've got a little fountain out front. I don't know, maybe you got some Halloween decorations. I don't know. You come over here, you got something plugged in, you can't close it so the rain can come in. All right, you're supposed to have an in-use cover so you could run your extension cord down and close the cover and it'll be all right. I shouldn't do this. I'm not going to do this. Why aren't you going to test the GFCI on the front porch, bud? That's a good question. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked me that question. It's because it might go to a receptacle in here. It might go to a receptacle in here, and I might not be able to find that receptacle. I might not be able to turn the refrigerator back on. That's why. Okay, good enough. Okay, so then we come over here. Our lawn sprinkler are not supposed to discharge water this close to the house. It's just a pond right there. It's supposed to take water out away from the house, not collect it around you, not pool it around you. Now, there's different ways to do this, and one is to go underneath, and that might be the best way. I don't like to do that if it's not necessary, but considering that we have a walkway here, it might be necessary. So there's this. We got a little bit of a gap right there on our freeze. Okay, and coming over here, our freeze and our vertical casement. A little bit of gap on this side of the garage. Picking it up again over here, our electric meter box should be sealed on 3 sides, and then some people argue that it shouldn't be sealed at all. And I should just be quiet about that. So, I mean, there's a lot of electricians do that. But we'll speak to that more when we get here. This is the water heater. Should have been the temperature pressure relief valve drain piping. I don't know what it goes to now. And it's supposed to discharge, if it's the drain pipe. If it's a safety pan, that is the proper discharge point. But I don't see any others. Okay? And I'm looking at some decommissioned pipe in the garage, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing that as being the safety pan. I'm seeing that as being a decommissioned temperature pressure relief drain. So, didn't look like they had pulled a permit on that dishwasher. This is right here. That is some of the parge coat that's kind of breaking out around the post-tension cable end. And once that cracks out a little more or whatever, you might want to come in here and patch it up. And coming on along, we got a little bit of separation here in this window. Right there. And, oh, I saw it once, and then I've been walking past it ever since. But right in here, over by the electric meter, on the garage, we're on the east side of the garage. What, it just healed? Things don't heal. Okay, I saw it. They weren't big. I'll grant you that. They weren't big. But I saw a little bit of cracking. I don't think this... Here it is. A little stair-step cracking. Right in there. Right around this equipment right in here. Just minuscule. Okay, missing some more screens. And the sealant again inside of our control joints. And our gate does not work worth a darn. Gates are beyond the scope of this inspection. It's not what I do. But if I gotta crawl through like this, and I gotta unsnag my shirt and stuff, it makes the report. Okay, this is the back faucet. This patio was installed. I cannot see whether there was stands installed underneath this. I do not know whether it was architecturally drawn. I don't know if there was a building permit for it. I don't know anything for it. I know that there are some roofing details that I found concerning over this corner right here. The way this siding goes down, and you see on top of the ridge row, right directly on top of the ridge row shingles. And there's no way to replace the whole shingle because now the roof's on top of it, and it's on top of it. That's a bad design. It should have never been designed like that, and it's pushing the shingles up. You can see how wind-driven rain can get up in there. Then going up around here, see we got edge flashing, but the edge flashing around this top part, that's the shed detail, and we're supposed to have cap flashing. It's like a big L that covers that whole edge because the shingles are coming off of that. They are. They're peeling off. Then coming over here, this is a phenomenon known as checking, okay? And that does not affect, I mean, I went to the lumber yard, I talked to the guy, and here's the story. He says, okay, well, bud, this does not affect the strength. That is not a defect in the lumber. That's just what cedar posts do. In fact, most wooden posts check, okay? He says, but they do that. It only goes in about that far. And this does, okay, it's an aesthetic issue. And it gets to a point where nobody picks this board up and puts it on their truck, and it stays in the lumber yard and it never gets sold them because of the way it looks. But it hasn't anything to do with its strength. And maybe this is an acceptable amount of checking. I'm not the checkmeister. I don't decide how much checking. I'm just letting you know that if you see that, and and if concerns start growing out of this, because you're going to spend some time on your patio. I know you are. It's a wonderful patio. You're going to spend some time out here. Well, yeah, if you're going to do that, then you're going to be looking at the checking, and you're going to remember that I told you that it was A-OK. I'm not saying that everything is A-OK. Everything's not A-OK, but that's A-OK. Coming over here, I got a little more control. Okay, see the siding right there? Siding's in direct contact with the roof covering. That's not A-OK. That's not A-OK. And even though this tree is not really touching the shingles, if it was raining today, it would be touching the shingles. So they're touching the shingles. Rain gutter is supposed to take water out 6 feet from the house. I can see around here. I can see moss growing, stuff growing. We got a whole ecosystem. It's a little jungle over here. No, this is not taking water far enough away from our house. Now this right here, a lot of people call these corner pops. Corner pops, corner pops, call it what you will. Those are shrinkage cracks. And I was talking about the brick moving at different rates than the concrete. I was talking about the concrete moving at different rates than the parge coat. Okay, well, this is it. Your brick is the only part of your house that actually grows. You'll never be able to measure it, but it actually does grow. Your concrete actually is shrinking, and you'll never be able to measure that. But those are forces, dynamics that are constantly on this corner. Also, so it manifests at the corner. Also, these materials react differently. The parge coat, the concrete foundation, the brick exterior wall cladding, they all react differently to moisture and humidity and weather. And so they expand and contract at different rates. So one's continuously shrinking, one's continuously growing, and all three are continuously expanding and contracting in response to the weather at different rates. So it comes out at the corners. That's not a foundation issue. It will be in the foundation report. It'll be in the termite report if we have a termite, because cracking concrete like that, Texas Structural Pest Control Board says that just like the parge coat, termites love that kind of stuff. That's how they get in. That's how they get you right there. And they also get you because you leave dead wood next to your house. Okay? You're not supposed to do this. We got any termites in here? Anybody home? No? That's good. Okay.